Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos, and in today's video we're going to talk about gearing up during this first week of 11.2 before the raid and M+ all come out. So I'm going to structure this first part of the video by talking about the different sources of hero, champion, and hero, champion, and veteran track gear that are available this week. So let's start off with hero track gear. There's not really hero track gear available this week. There is the Great Vault, however, which the tier 7 or 8 delves may reward hero track. It's a little bit weird. Some of the tables I've seen have seemed to disagree with what the eye level being shown in game is, where it's showing 694 for tier 7 and higher, but then some of the tables I've seen have shown like different eye levels between 7 and 8, and so what I'd say is probably if you just do tier 8 delves, your Great Vault will be filled with the highest possible level loot this week, which would be heroes from this row. There's no way to get hero from the dungeon row this week, and of course the raid row is Manaforge Omega, which isn't out yet this week. So that is actually it's either hero or champion from the delve Great Vaults that you could potentially pick up when you open it next week. If you open something marginal as well next week, as long as you unlock at least 3 Great Vault slots this week, you will be able to buy yourself a socket again, which might be your best option depending on how lucky or unlucky you get with the things that come out of your vault. So it's definitely a good use of your time to fill out the Great Vault slots of the delve rows. Ideally all 3 slots. At tier 7 is probably safe, but maybe tier 8 if you want to be super safe, or higher. Okay, champion track gear. There's a decent amount of champion track loot available this week, all of which comes from Mythic 0 dungeons. So you can run every dungeon that is in this coming season except for Tazavesh. Tazavesh has a special M0, which is just the hard mode, and that's not open this week. It'll give hero track loot and actually myth track vault, and I believe myth track if you complete the whole thing deathless, which is really hard. All that comes next week though, so you don't have to worry about Tazavesh this week, but this week doing all of the M0 dungeons that are open is a good use of your time, just because the champion track gear, even though it's not particularly good eye level, compared to even last season stuff, right? It's barely an upgrade over last season stuff. It's basically the same as hero track loot, unless you were willing to spend gilded crests on those items later this season. So there's a very good chance, if there's a good trinket for you and you pick one up out of M0 this week, and it's champion track, you know, you upgrade it for free because you get a higher eye level, worse trinket in the coming weeks, and you know, you can wear that thing for a long time, because again, champion track and hero track have pretty similar value with the way that the gearing system works right now. So farming up champion track pieces, like there's a good chance that the best strategy for farming gear next week is going to be to spam +2s to get whatever trinkets you desire and then upgrade them to, you know, the top of the champion track, because that's the same that you can upgrade hero track to without spending those precious gilded crests. So yeah, doing one of each M0 is definitely a good use of your time this week if you're interested in maximizing your gear. However, if you don't want to do any group content, there's also some good veteran track gear sources. But before that, there's one more champion track source, which is the world boss. So the world boss lives here and is absolutely nuclear difficulty. It took the group that I joined 2 bloodlusts to kill this thing. It just keeps running back and forth between like here and going immune, and it's just awful world boss. Hopefully it gets nerfed at some point, but as it stands right now, doing that once per account, you will get a warbound champion track piece from killing that boss. So doing that once per week per account is the move, just to get that free champion track piece, and very low effort. Okay, veteran track gear. So there's a few good sources of veteran track gear. You will get 2 pieces of veteran track gear per week from each pinnacle cache that you open. Pinnacle caches come from, I think you can get them from these special assignments. You can also get them from the weekly quests, right? From the Delve, World Soul, and Archives quests, that one of those shows up every week and it rotates between those 3 every 3 weeks. So yeah, doing 2 pinnacle caches will get you 2 veteran track pieces. Any pinnacle caches you open beyond that will not have veteran track pieces in them, but the next 2 will have restored coffers keys, which will be used for bountiful delves, which aren't available this week, but will be available next week. So collecting all of the keys could be a decent use of your time as well, because those keys will open hero track loot from high level delves in future weeks. So if you are interested in that, That can also be a good use of your time. There are two sneaky, weird sources of veteran track gear as well. One is Horrific Visions Revisited. So for some reason, the vendors have been updated to sell the this season's track of loot. And the highest one is Veteran Track of this season, which goes all the way up to 691, and it sells weapons. So if you complete a 5-mask Horrific Vision, which if you haven't engaged with the Horrific Visions Revisited system, will take you a couple of runs to collect all 5 masks and fill out your talent tree enough that you'll be able to do it easily. But it is very easy if you fill out your talent tree. Once you get all the sanity resistance and the cheat death and stuff, it becomes pretty trivial, especially with the extra gear we have now. Once you complete a 5-mask run, which you can also get carried, if one of your guildies has done this and you haven't, you can get them to carry you through a 5-mask run as well. And using all their boons and stuff, so you can make it really fast if you have a friend who has it. That will allow you to then purchase a veteran track weapon or offhand. Now they are unique equipped, so don't try and buy 2 one-handers and wear both of them. You can only wear one. Like there's a unique equipped category for these, so you can only buy just the one and wear the one. But that's still pretty good. And again, that goes all the way up to 691, so a very good starting weapon to go into next week with. There's also veteran track gear available for some reason from the Nightfall scenario here. So this fires at the top of every hour, and there's a quest to do it once. Doing that quest will reward you a veteran track piece of gear once per week. And then also, there is a purple box you can earn by filling the bar all the way up at the top of the screen during these. Now, that can be a little annoying doing the objectives, but you can actually get like 60% just at the end. Once the scenario is almost over, there will be like some waves of enemies that spawn right over here that you can just farm for a bunch of percent. And then as long as you tag the last boss, you get like 40% from the last boss alone or something too. So you don't have to actually fill the thing all the way up to 100% before the last boss. But as long as you do that, you'll get a purple box, and the purple box will also have, or at least for me, the one that I opened just before recording this, had a veteran track piece of loot in it as well. So extra sources of veteran track gear if you're interested. Again, it's not the end of the world to worry too much about this kind of stuff, because next week there will be infinitely farmable veteran champion and hero track loot, depending on the level of Mythic Plus you can do, and also from delves, from bountiful delves. Maybe not infinite, but bountiful, plentiful even would be a better word for the amount of that kind of loot you can pick up next week. The main reason to do this stuff this week is 1, just a good roll at an M0 trinket that you might want. 2, of course, filling up the vault. Maybe you'll get hero tier or champ tier out of your vault next week and really jumpstart your tier set collection progress. And yeah, also just, getting yourself a good trinket would save you having to farm that dungeon next week. And then 3, we're just talking about making your character like 5 eye levels stronger on Tuesday of next week, Wednesday of next week, which might make your first clear of Manaforge Omega easier, right? Your first clear of your, a +5 key next week. Any of those things might be just that little bit easier if you collect the gear this week. It's not a big deal if you don't have time this week. If you don't want to worry about that kind of stuff this week, you don't have to do any of this stuff. Like it's one of these cases where you can spend like 6 hours this week to save yourself 30 minutes next week. And that is a good trade-off if you're somebody who's trying to min-max in a season, because once the new season actually starts, your time starts to be really valuable, and converting your time into gear, even at a really inefficient rate this week, is better than nothing, which is the alternative, right? The alternative is to go outside or, meal prep, something like that could be useful for you for next week. Any of those things would also be good uses of your time, but they're beyond the scope of this video. So yeah, those are the sources of hero, champion, and veteran track gear that I found. There might be more. Put them in the comments if you've seen more. There's also crafted gear. You can earn your first spark this week, which is a little bit of a departure from last season. Last season, I think you only earned a half spark on the first week before the actual raid came out, although then Blizzard screwed up and gave us all a free half spark on the second week of the raid, so it all kind of evened out. But yeah, this week you can earn your first spark of Starlight, and you should probably just not spend this thing. Earn it, don't spend it. You can spend 250 Valor Stones to make it into a full spark, and then not be capped on Valor Stones. That can be useful, but yeah, definitely probably don't spend this thing. But you can craft enchanted weathered crests, and then craft gear with that. That gear is like 678 or something. And that is, again, if you're on a character that is rejoining this season, that could represent a huge upgrade for you. Obviously, if you're mythic geared from last season, those things aren't going to be relevant for you. But yeah, look into crafted gear. Again, probably don't craft into, obviously, like Cloak, because we've got a legendary Cloak now. Speaking of which, so the legendary Cloak, if you have alts, once you have done the full 3 chapters of the campaign that are out now, on your alts, you can skip the campaign. It's after you do like the first 2 quests, you walk into Tazavesh for the first time, and there's a bug called like Omen or something, and you talk to the bug, and just keep talking, like make sure you check, because the bug has a dialogue option that goes away if you do the next quest, and that will skip you to the 3 out of 5 progression state of the campaign. Once you've done that, then you can fly here and get your Cloak by talking to the Cloak people that are here, and you can get your Cloak on all of your alts this way. Speaking of the Cloak, for some reason on this character, I messed up and I didn't skip the campaign, so I had to redo the whole thing. Somehow I was able to get up to a rank 4 Cloak on this character when I then got my Cloak at the end of that progress. So my suspicion is that this is not going to matter, and they're going to be able to, like, you know, they're going to cap this thing next week at this. So like, I probably just won't get an upgrade next week on this character, and it'll all even out, something like that. But yeah, for some reason, because I didn't skip the campaign, my Cloak, when I got it, was just higher eye level than it's supposed to be this week. So I guess if you really want to min-max the chance that might work and you might be forever ahead, you can try to do that yourself. But again, my suspicion is that this is the kind of thing that Blizzard can pretty easily fix, because they have all week this week to just put in a cap for next week's progress that actually works, and stop you from being able to do this. So yeah, that's something about the Cloak. Another thing about the Cloak, though, is the threads. So you do get a reward early on that says, hey, this gives you crit haste, mastery, or whatever. That is not as much stat as you can get if you work order one of these pure fibers. So what you should do probably on any character you care about is work order every version of a fiber, so every stat that you might want. Just do that this week. You know, fill your bag up with those. You can swap them out freely. You don't have to, you know, buy multiples, so just buy one of each stat that you might want. And yeah, it's a tailoring recipe, and it requires rank 5 with the new rep. You can probably public order these things, but yeah, rank 5 with the new rep gives you access to those profession recipes. It also gives you access to, so speaking of rep, if you do want to farm rep, there's not really much from this rep tree that matters. There is a veteran track chest piece at Renown 7, which is definitely achievable before next week if you really wanted to worry about it, but you know, who cares? And then there's not really any other loot stuff until like champion track bracers at 16, something like that. There is an infinite augment rune if you're interested in spending 100,000 gold for an infinite augment rune at Renown 18, and a enchanted runed crest at Renown 20, which would be nice, but I don't think it's realistically something you're going to be able to get in time for it to be nice if you are somebody who's really, you know, pushing the content. But, you know, if you do want to be farming rep, do note that it is Darkmoon Fair right now, so a lot of the rep rewards are one-time only, so you may have already done them, but if you haven't yet, get Darkmoon Fair and then earn the rep, and you'll get 10% more, which can help you get some more rep. And the main thing is, yeah, the profession recipes, you know, being able to... Oh, also you can buy the contract to get 15 more rep whenever you complete any world quest. So if you really want to grind this thing out, you can do every world quest for an extra couple hundred rep every day with the Koresh Trust. I wouldn't worry about this unless you really are looking for something to do. I'm not even really bothering with that. I just bought the contract because, you know, it was only a few thousand gold anyways. And I did want to get to Renown 5 so that I could make the fibers and stuff. Speaking of other things that come from Renown 5, though, there is a new healing potion as well. So you may want to upgrade. It's Invigorating Healing Potion. So you may want to go on all your characters and switch from these Algari healing potions to these invigorating potions. If you have a macro that uses one over the other, you know, switch out that one to the invigoratings instead of the Algaris. That's probably a good thing to do this week. Maybe clean out your bags as well. As you can see, I've done here very clean bags right now too. So always a good thing to have going into a new season. I think that's it for tips and stuff that I have for this week. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know how much of a dirty exploiter I am for having these. Yeah, I didn't do anything. I just did the campaign because I missed the skip because I'm stupid on this character, and yeah. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.